Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purple People Podcast. This week, we're down a couple guys. We have neither Kyle with us, but that's okay because we have me here, and I am awesome.
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are.
With me this week, I have Dorian Foley, who has become a regular on here, and it's pretty nice to have him whenever we can.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. SKOL Vikings, what's going on, everybody? Let's talk about some Vikings football.
Absolutely. And I didn't properly introduce myself. I'm Adam Carlson. You know my work from the Viking Age, maybe from Undead Walking, maybe from the Purple People Podcast if you're a regular listener, or if you're just tuning in, this is my real hair right here. It needs to get cut. It's getting out of hand. I can't even put this headset on without hair just going everywhere. And it looks god-awful. There we go. A little bit better. A little better.
You have a little mane going. It's flowing like all you're missing is just like the wind blowing.
Oh, it's absolutely out of hand.
Where's the mask, man?
Oh, I got it right beside me, but I'm not wearing it again this week. Last week, if you saw the thumbnail before I changed it to our official one, when the show's over, it's actually me in the mask, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm kind of sad I didn't keep it that way, but what can you do, right?
Dang, I missed out on it. I wanted to see that. I forgot all about that thumbnail.
If you go to the Purple Podcast Facebook page and scroll a little bit, you can see the picture.
Oh, okay.
Still there.
Cool.
But we got episode number 305 to go through. This one is named SKOL Night because I had no time to think of a witty title, and we're going to be talking about SKOL Night a little bit. So,
SKOL Night, I like it. It's all right.
Yeah, it's not up to my standards, but you know what? That's okay because we threw this show together at the last moment, and we're going to have some fun with it anyway. So let's just keep rolling.
All right.
The first one is the first quick hit is something I wrote about today on the Viking Age, and it involves former Minnesota Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway. His Lead the Way Foundation donated a playground to Children's Minneapolis, which, if you don't know, is a hospital where sick or injured or physically challenged kids go when they usually have a longer extended stay. And he's donated lockers there. He's been part of multiple Vikings team events that happened there. And now he just opened this new playground there where they've got cool slides and interactive things for the kids. And it's fully handicapped accessible, So it's really cool to be able to offer this to kids. And Chad Greenway is such a class act, isn't he?
Man, dude, like, I'm not even saying this just to be saying it. Chad Greenway is one of my all-time favorite Vikings. I loved the man ever since, day one. Like, seriously, man, just he handled his business on the field and off the field. Like you said, just class act, man.
Professional and classy.
Man, like, just the best of both worlds, man. Just a good dude, man. Good human being, man.
Well, you can get a good human being like that, as well as someone who, when you have them on the football field, you don't have to be too concerned about them. Greenway was a solid tackler when he was with the Vikings. Earned a starting spot despite, being a first-round draft pick where you kind of expect those guys to ease into it. Led the league a couple times in tackles. Wait a minute. No, he led the league once in the team a couple times, right?
Yeah. As far as I remember, yeah.
We do have some people in the chat here talking. Art Rocha is here saying SKOL homies. Eric Grendal says, I'm back. Hope all is groovy. And everything's always groovy here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Purple and groovy. I like the deadly combination. Nice combination.
Yeah, I love how Greenway himself seems to go above and beyond. I mean, he's no longer in the public eye. He's not connected to the Vikings really at all anymore. If he wanted to, he could shut down his organization and, just continue living his life with his family and everything. But he keeps up with his charity. He continues doing these great events, whether it's the golf tournament, the tender luncheons, or Chad's lockers, or, unexpected things like buying a van for a handicapped family, or, doing these kind of events just out of nowhere. It's fantastic to see this kind of thing.
Yes, it is, man. I can't say class act enough. Like, he's the perfect, like, if class act is in the dictionary, there's a picture of Chad Greenway. You know, one in Vikings purple, and then another picture him in one of his suits, you know, in business attire.
So, and one of the best things I love is how that kind of echoes down through the organizations. Kyle Rudolph does a lot of great things. And then you've got Brian Robinson doing good stuff. And Everson Griffin has his charity. And it kind of like goes through the franchise, because the franchise itself, the Vikings Foundation, does a lot for the community as well. So you've got the team doing a lot of things, and then you have the individual pieces, like even the Mike Zimmer Foundation and others, just, you know, bringing home things for the community, doing things for the less fortunate. It's amazing.
Right. And on top of all that, it's selfless. Like he's never like promoted like, oh, this is what I'm doing, or I'm doing this over here. And, you know, he just does it, you know, out the kindness of his heart, you know, and, you know, he genuinely wants to do for people and to see others that are less fortunate, you know, have that moment of, you know, of just something positive and just something, you know, belonging to something, you know. It's beautiful, man.
It's all about bringing people together, and I love it. Speaking of a guy who's having a rough time, this one kind of hurt me a little bit because I've been talking this guy up. Hercules Mataafa, undrafted free agent. I really loved the potential of this guy. And he played defensive line in college. They tried him at linebacker, and they moved him back to defensive line with the Vikings. But Hercules Mataafa, I saw such potential in this guy, and I was really excited to see what he could do. And then we got the bad news that he has torn his ACL. He's probably going to miss the entire season. I don't see why they'd bring him up if he doesn't have time to, you know, work his way through during the regular season or, you know, training camp or whatever. So I'm not expecting to see him back until next year. One thing I thought was kind of cool about this is Hercules Mataafa's agent actually tweeted out that he was concerned about, you know, his future because Hercules didn't get a lot of attention from teams because he doesn't quite have the size strength combination to play the defensive line according to, you know, the prototypical players in the NFL.
Oh, wow, really?
And he also stated that he was kind of concerned that the Vikings were going to give him an injury settlement and release him, you know, like a lot of teams do. Well, the Vikings aren't going that way. They are going to place him on their injured. They're going to pay him throughout the season, and they're going to keep that option open for next year. So it is very likely that we will see Hercules Mataafa back with the Vikings next year. Hopefully, he'll be able to take this opportunity too to work on you know, a little bit of his upper body strength and maybe size up a little bit for playing the defensive line. This might be both a little bit of a blessing and a curse for him. I don't know.
Wow, that is, man, the organization, like, give them all the credit for that. You know, like you said, they're going to pay him for this season, and pretty much they're like, you know what, this is unfortunate, so we're going to bring you back and still give you that chance, give you that opportunity to see what you can do.
Now, the team has not officially placed him on IR yet, as far as I know. That information will probably be dropped down soon. I'm guessing within a week. They will be adding another player to the roster to replace him. No idea on really who that's going to be yet, but it's going to be fun to see another new face. But like I said, I was so high on this kid. I really thought that he had a chance of being one of the team's linebackers when they were talking about moving him in, because the Vikings are kind of weak at linebacker, and it'd be kind of cool to see a new body in there. But apparently he's much happier to be back on the defensive line. So like I said, I was really looking forward to seeing him during the preseason. Maybe even on the practice squad if he didn't land on the regular roster, but it looks like we're going to have to wait until next year to see what he's got.
Man, I just wish him all the best, and you know, I have no doubt that he'll come back stronger and ready to put in work. Another
great thing is that with the timing that this happened, and I've heard that it isn't a very bad tear where a lot of the cartilage got torn along with it. It was pretty clean. So the good news is that it should not take a hugely long time to heal either.
Nice.
And that'll give him a lot of time to prepare, like I said, and be ready for next season. Be a little bit more, I don't want to say prototypically NFL sized and ready, but you know, I do know that there is so much that a player can do, but the Vikings have had history of taking some of these undersized players and having success. Eric Kendricks was looked over multiple times in the NFL draft for being undersized. John Randall was small for a defensive lineman.
Right, and he's in the Hall of Fame, so come on, there you go.
I mean, the track record for finding players that can succeed despite those shortcomings are out there. But like I said, this is a little disappointing because I really wanted to see him get a little bit of experience under his belt.
Right.
Moving on a little bit here. If you guys haven't watched the video of Stefan Diggs talking with the Twins staff about the Minneapolis Miracle, it's really kind of cool. He told the story about how he went and spoke with them on SKOL Night. And the feeling along the Minnesota bench was that the team was done. Like they had almost checked out. Mm-hmm. And he talked about going into the huddle and how he got like a little bit of an eye look from Case Keenum, and he felt like the ball was going to come his way, even though it normally doesn't on that route, almost like 9 out of 10 times in practice. And the way he told the story was just so much energy, so much fun. You can tell, like he was sitting in one of those swiveling chairs, and he couldn't sit still. He was like, just rocking and excited. It was so fun to see. And if you have the chance, check it out. I shared it up on the Viking Age. It's on the Vikings YouTube channel. It's all over the place. So if you get the chance, check it out because it's pretty cool.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
I mean, how can you forget about the Minneapolis Miracle? It was one of the best moments in recent Vikings history. And honestly, I think you could compare it up there with some of the best moments in franchise history overall.
Oh, hell yeah. I had 2 heart attacks during that, during the Miracle. Like, seriously.
Oh, yeah. One of the best things is when he was talking about making the decision of whether to get out of bounds or to keep running. And I don't know. To me, when I was watching the game, I was yelling for him to hit the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized there was no one back there, it changed to go, go, go.
Right. Because I mean, obviously, okay, when he made the catch and came down with it, he was expecting contact. Like his body was ready, like, okay, I'm going to be hit. And that slight stumble, and then that, like, in that stumble, that's when he realized, oh shit, pay dirt. I'm gone, So just all those emotions, in that, in that brief moment, man, it's just, man, that was awesome. Awesome, surreal, to be honest, still get goosebumps even,
we've all watched it hundreds of times, I bet by now.
Right.
Now, speaking of SKOL Night, SKOL Night was a night with the Minnesota Twins where they host some members of the Minnesota Vikings, and they kind of just honor Minnesota sports in general. They do this with a lot of teams. They did it with the Lynx and the Wild and other local teams. So it's great to see the kind of Minnesota sports coming together and doing stuff. But it also got a chance to see some Vikings players hitting the batting cages. Diggs, Thielen, and Kirk Cousins threw out a pitch, which was pretty cool. All 3 of them lined up through one at once.
Very nice.
As someone who's not a baseball fan, I got to admit, I considered going just to see what SKOL Night was, and I still didn't go because it's baseball. I just can't get into baseball. I can't.
Why not? Baseball is cool, man.
It's just too slow for me.
I don't call myself a baseball, expert or anything like that. But I mean, I have respect for the game. I can watch it. Well, I'm a Yankees fan. I don't claim to know stats and all that stuff, but it's still pretty fun. Check out highlights and everything like that. For me, I check out highlights, box scores just to see, hey, how and just to check up on them. But playoffs, man. With anything, it's the same thing, I guess, for you, like with soccer. I can't get into soccer, but when the World Cup comes around, it's just like, oh man, it's like, let's do this,
See, I watch playoff basketball, I'll watch playoff hockey, but playoff baseball, I just can't do it.
No, you don't get that same feeling like
I don't get that love. I don't get that feeling. It just doesn't come. Which is kind of sad.
Oh, it's okay. It's not for everybody. We still love you, Adam.
Now, some former Vikings were nominated for the 2019 College Football Hall of Fame, and they are names that Vikings fans should remember pretty well. The first one, B Twice. Gotta love Bernard Berrien being the first one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I remember some of those really cool Bernard Berrien plays. One of the best I remember is I was watching a Vikings game, and there was the kickoff, and then went to commercial break. So I was like, cool, I can run to the bathroom. I lived in a trailer house at that time, and it was on the other side of the trailer. So I ran to the trailer. I was peeing, and then I hear the entire trailer erupting because it was that 99-yard Bernard Berrien touchdown catch.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was just like, what the heck? I go to pee and I missed this? Probably the best play of the whole game? What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was always a fan. Like, I was real happy when he came over from Chicago. Man, he did his thing, man. I mean, he was solid. He was real solid.
Yeah,
I wish
the Vikings were having such
a little bit more, but I mean, hey,
the Vikings were having such big problems filling shoes at wide receiver that for him to come in and even do what he did was okay. And I mean, it's not like the Vikings were doing a great job giving him quarterbacks to work with or things like that either. So
exactly. Wait, who's the quarterback at the time? Was that still Gus Frerotte?
I wanted to say Gus Frerotte.
Oh, okay. And no knock on Gus, but yeah,
no,
still needed a little bit more help than what.
Absolutely. The second nominee from the Vikings is E.J. Henderson, who Vikings fans have a nice soft spot in their heart for, and he's another one that is a former Viking that is always hosting camps for kids and stuff like that. So he's still very active in the community here, which is real cool.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and he was a long-time Vikings linebacker, which is nice as well. Sadly, I don't have a great E.J. Henderson story, though.
I mean, EJ was solid, man. EJ was solid. He always gave 100% effort, man, solid tackler.
Yeah.
His coverage was nice too, as well.
For the scheme that he was playing, I mean, it would have been nice to see him in a little bit more of an updated scheme, but he definitely was a player who did what he was asked to do. And that's all you can really ask these days.
Exactly. His brother wasn't that bad either with us as well. Aaron wasn't bad either.
No, I didn't mind Aaron one bit. I wasn't sure if he was the best the Vikings could have at the position, but considering the defense as a whole, like I said, it definitely opened up some spots. Right. Speaking of baseball, we've got Art Rocha in the chat saying Twins playoff baseball is the only baseball I watch, which I don't blame you. I mean, who can have time to watch, 820 regular season games in baseball?
Yeah. It's like with baseball, if you're going through a slump, like you can really go through a slump and then still like bounce back, and win.
How can it's like the games don't matter?
It's and plus like they changed their schedule. Like it's not it's not set all the time. Like you'll have, I guess like for example, maybe like 2-game series here, and then just for example, okay, Twins play the Yankees, it'll be like a 4-game series, and then like next the Twins will play the Indians, and it'll be maybe like 2 games. So
right.
It's kind of back and forth. So like I said, I don't claim myself to be an expert, but yeah, I mean some of the things that they do is kind of a little weird.
That's one of the things I love about the NFL. I love that it is 16-game season. You lose a game, and it's big.
Yeah.
I mean, one loss is – I understand that one loss in baseball can put you outside too, but you have more opportunities to make that up. In the NFL, you lose your first 2 games of the season, you're already on the outside looking in.
Right.
It's just that kind of intensity. Finally, the final nominee from the Vikings for the 2019 College Football Hall of Fame was a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year and didn't quite get in. Steve Hutchinson. I still think Hutch is going to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame eventually. It's going to take a couple of years because there are so many talented offensive linemen waiting to get in. But Hutch will get in eventually, and I do believe that he'll get in the College Football Hall of Fame as well. Got to meet him when the Super Bowl was in town.
Really?
At the Super Bowl experience. Really nice guy.
Nice.
I went up with my picture to have him get autographed. He signed it, and then he pulled an 8x10 out from under his table. He said, "Hey, you want this one too? It was signed." I'm like, "Yes, I do."
Oh, that's awesome.
And I gave that to one of the Kyles. I don't remember. I think Kyle West has that one.
Oh, that was real nice of you.
Yeah, I sent that over with John Randall autograph and a couple other things. So,
well, aren't you a good friend?
Hey, people look out for each other.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the area where you can get some of this stuff done, you got to help. You got to help each other out. That's what it's all about.
I hear that, man. Yeah, Hutch. I mean, I loved Hutch. I was a fan of his even when he was with Seattle, and I was like stoked beyond belief when we signed him. And
he made Matt Khalil look good.
Oh my God,
it's no secret that the only season where Matt Khalil was good was when he was next to Hutch. I mean, that tells you something.
Yeah, he's a bum. I care less about him.
I've been reading too about him still making some excuses about why his play isn't up to standards. And if you know why your play isn't up to standards, fix it.
Wait, so he's still right. So he's still struggling, doing the same thing he did with us in Carolina.
Oh yeah. And they should have known that when they paid him way too much money. And yeah, when the Vikings signed Hutchinson, they gave him a lot of money as well. But they knew they were getting a polished player that was going to fit into what they do. I still don't understand some of these contracts that teams hand out in the NFL. It's mind blowing.
Wow. That's crazy, but whatever. Fuck that guy.
But yeah, it's cool to see those three guys up for the College Football Hall of Fame, and hopefully some of them get in. Nice. We'll discuss when the actual players that are going to get in are named, because I really want to see some of these guys get in, specifically Hutch and Henderson. I like Bernard Berrien, and I will admit as well, I did not follow these guys a lot in college, so maybe they had like just exceptionally great college careers that I didn't even get to watch. I'm basing this on their time as pros, which isn't really fair.
Right. I mean, I am too. Because I'm not familiar with them either in college.
Yeah, but still, it's cool to see them getting recognized. We got CBS Sports. They say that the Vikings are the NFC North's most complete team. And when you pick things apart, you can see that the Vikings have, I'll say, undebatably the best defense in the division. They've got an offense that appears to be growing by leaps and bounds by getting a really talented offensive coordinator, paying a lot of money to bring in stability at quarterback. They've got possibly the best receiving duo in the NFL. They've got a great red zone option, Kyle Rudolph. And if Delvin Cook, who returned to practice, he returned to OTAs, he took part in some drills this week, so he appears on track, ready to go. I think they're going to ease him in and see how things go, but it's optimistic there as well. I mean, and to combine all that with a special teams unit that, let's see, the punter didn't give up a touchback all season. They got a new kicker coming in, Daniel Carlson, to compete with Kai Forbass, so there's still a little bit of a question mark there.
Right.
But you got Marcus Sherrills, who's a great return man. He's going to be trying to fight off Mike Hughes for the return man job. All in all, there's so much talent on this team, and the only real place I think you can knock the Vikings is that we don't know how the offensive line is going to shake out.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Yeah. I think there are talented players to plug into the offensive line. I just don't know who's going to go where.
Yeah, man. I was really going back to, the draft. I was really hoped that we would have really, put that in the forefront. I have nothing against Mike Hughes, but I wanted Hernandez from UTEP. I wanted that dude just for the fact it's like $84 million. Kirk Cousins, got to protect him. It's like, If
you'd have been reading the Viking Age, I called it, man.
You sure did, man. I didn't see it in the Viking Age, but I think as far as like us talking amongst each other in the messenger, I believe you had made a comment, and you just like threw it out there. It was kind of like you were Babe Ruth, and you just like picked your shot, like, yep, right there, and lo and behold.
The more I follow the NFL, the better I can get a feel on what these teams are going to do, and I was so excited when they picked Mike Hughes because he has the talent to step in and be the Vikings nickel corner. And yes, it would have been nice to get a better prospect along the offensive line. But I think that right now the Vikings, I don't think they're really sure on what to do with Mike Remmers, because now the feeling is that they're going to move him to right guard, I guess is the feeling.
Oh, okay. Because, I mean, I just didn't want us to, because I think we did it last year and even the season before in terms of our offensive line of just, I mean, I know it was kind of due to injuries, but pretty much we kept shaking it up like week by week, seeing like, every other week we were shaking up the, the offensive line. We were like switching cats from one place to another. It's just like we need some consistency. We need,
I think some of the worst play we saw too is when Mike Remmers was asked to go to left guard. That to me was an experiment that looked so failed. And then when they said they were considering moving Remmers to guard on a permanent basis, my first thought was, if they're going to keep him at left guard, this is a bad mistake. Now, I don't mind him as much as right guard, because over there you can be more of a power player. You don't have to pull as much. You're not protecting the blind side really as much. It's a situation I think that's beneficial to him. And I'll be honest too, I like Nick Easton more than others do.
I like him too. I have no objections to Nick Easton.
And I think that when you look at the other teams around the league, according when CBS was talking about having the most talent, the Bears have not acquired the amount of talent, but they have some really good pieces in place. Mm-hmm. The Packers will always be dangerous offensively. I think their defense still has a ways to go. And Detroit is always so hard to put your finger on. I just think like their inconsistencies, their inability to run the ball the last couple seasons, they give up a couple too many points. They give up a lot of short yardage stuff. I struggle to put them in any sort of elite category, although they are a good team. So I don't think that this is really a wow moment where it's like CBS really stunned people by saying the Vikings have the most talent in the NFC North. I think that should kind of be a given.
Exactly. I mean, not just being a homer, but pretty much I feel like we're almost a lock to take the North again. And pretty much everybody else is playing for second.
I look at the Packers schedule and I see some games that they should win. And then I see Aaron Rodgers over there. And I see some of these young athletic corners, and I'm seeing a team that is it is scary, and the Packers are gonna be the toughest competition in the division, unless unless the Lions or Bears come out and surprise me. But I'm not feeling like that's really gonna happen as much. But like I said, it's gonna be a tough one. The Vikings are gonna need to win, 13 games again if they want a chance at winning the division. And winning 13 games in an NFL season is not easy.
Not at all. I mean, and with our schedule overall, we have one of the toughest schedules, I believe, coming up.
Oh yeah.
But with Green Bay, man, I'll obviously give Aaron Rodgers all credit. He's, like Stephen A. Smith says, and gets on my damn nerves every time, he's a bad man. But
he is.
But I'm not intimidated. Like, we're there. You know what I mean? Like, we're there, and pretty much, okay, if you punch, we're gonna punch right back. So I feel that we have the talent to, hey, if Green Bay gets one on us, okay, whatever, kudos. But pretty much, I'm not seeing any scenario where Green Bay comes in both home and away, and we're just so shook that, we lose both, both of those games, those divisional games, man.
I'm still waiting for the Vikings to beat the Lions at US Bank, so that's what I'm hoping for.
It'll happen. It'll happen this year.
Sergio Moreno has joined us in the chat. He says glad to have made it, and he wanted to know if we talked about the Hercules injury already, and yes, we did.
Yeah,
that was a sad one, but we gotta do. We were talking about Nick Easton a little bit earlier, and Nick Easton and his agent have been kind of vocal about wanting a long-term contract with the Minnesota Vikings, and I really do believe that this is something the Vikings should be interested in, because Nick Easton, although he does need to work on his physicality and run blocking, I think he's a more than capable pass blocker, and keeping him at left guard would not only provide stability, but it would have a position where you can have a veteran of some sorts, because he's been there a couple of years, to help some of these younger guys develop. And I don't think Nick Easton is going to command a huge price tag, especially considering that the team would have the leverage in this situation. I think Easton just wants, like, I know it's become a bit of a cliche in the NFL to say this, but Nick Easton just wants a little bit more stability. He wants to know he's going to be part of a franchise for a little while. He wants to know he's got some guaranteed money on the table. This is all he wants, I believe. I think that's all a lot of the mid to lower tier players, because I don't think that Nick Easton is a top tier talent. No, but I think he's a more than capable player who deserves to be with Minnesota for at least a couple more years. And I do think that he will get an extension. I don't know if it's going to be multiple years, but I think he's going to end up staying with Minnesota, because he did get an extension this year to stick around for one more year. And I believe it was a tender that they signed for him, and they had I think it was a second round tender they signed him to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which means they do have some significant value on him. So there should be interest between the two parties, and hopefully they can have him stick around.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I mean, I know in the off season coming up, have some decisions to make as far as like of re-signing talent, but yeah, if Nick does his thing again and he's solid, then yeah.
Like you were talking about some of the players that aren't going to stick around. We've had Brian Robinson say this is probably his last year. We've had Terrence Newman say this is definitely his last year. So there will be opportunities opening up for some younger players. And although that isn't on the offensive line, you never know what can happen. As much as we hate to say this, injuries happen all the time. Players' careers can stop at any moment when you're playing a physical game like this. So, like I said, you've got to lock down talent when you have it. And right now, the Vikings do have talent on the offensive line. A lot of it is young and undeveloped. So I think that locking down Nick Easton would be a great step for this team, and I don't think it would break the budget. And I know that the Vikings right now are trying to keep a lot of their key players in place. They want to get contracts to Diggs, and they want to get contracts to Barr, and they want to lock down Danielle Hunter. But I do believe that with the salary cap going up next year, which will hopefully be another $10 million, which would be awesome, I think the Vikings can get it figured out. I think they really can.
I do too, man. I do too. But it should be interesting to see how everything plays out.
A couple years ago, we started worrying about how this team would be able to stick together when a lot of these rookie contracts hit. And so far, Minnesota's done a really good job of keeping the key players in place and bringing in some other new talent. And if they can keep this up, if they can keep these players in place, this team has a threat to be a threat for many, many more years.
Yes, indeed. I mean, some people kind of talk about Rick Spielman, like, wasn't it like last year that people kind of were like looking, well, if he doesn't do such and such this year in the draft or whatever, like we should look to get rid of him, like what some people wanted his job. And it's like he's put this thing together, man.
The weird thing is that for all the first round draft picks that haven't panned out for him, he still accumulated a really talented roster. And if they can start hitting on those a little bit more, they have a chance at really being something special.
Right.
And it's disappointing to see, Cordero Patterson work out, Laquan Treadwell being a fringe, bust so far. Matt Khalil just struggling. Christian Ponder not working out. Sharif Floyd's career coming to a close. I mean, there's all these first rounders that you're just kind of left wondering, are the Vikings kind of snake bit when it comes to first round picks?
I mean, kind of, sort of, because it's been the later rounds, like you said. It's been the later rounds where it's like, okay, here's a gem. There's a gem. Oh, okay, cool. Oh man, some players, I'm like, wait, where did he come from? And all of a sudden,
but then you got those players that he absolutely hits. Harrison Smith, just an absolute hit out of this park. Xavier Rhodes, boom, nailed that one right out of the park as well. There are those first round picks that he just absolutely hits, and those two players have become franchise guys.
Right. legit weapons, legit badasses, and yeah.
Absolutely. So U.S. Bank and the Minnesota Vikings Foundation came together again for the Places to Play, where they donate playgrounds and to parks and schools around Minnesota. This year, once again, those grants will total $1 million. And we've talked a lot about the philanthropy that the Vikings as an organization do, the players, the coaches, the staff, everybody. And the state of Minnesota, as much as some people complain about having to build that stadium for the Vikings, I don't think they realize all the things that the team does for the community, the money that the Vikings brought in with the Super Bowl and games on a regular basis, and the overall appeal that having a professional sports team in Minnesota does for the state. And to me, things like this are a great way to say thank you, to give back to taxpayers, kids, the community, and everything.
Like those same taxpayers, those people that were complaining about U.S. Bank Stadium and, oh my gosh, we're paying too much, and just going and frantic and stuff. So yeah, man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I believe this is their second year doing it, which is kind of cool. It might be more than their second year, but I know they did it last year. And they spread the money out to build multiple playgrounds, plant trees, improve schools. I think they did some gym improvements and stuff like that too. I don't know. To me, these kind of stories are the ones I love. I love hearing people doing things for other people because it's not something you see on the news much these days.
Exactly.
Positivity just doesn't flow the way it used to.
It's not sexy. It's not scandalous.
Right?
It's not clickbait,
Hey, that clickbait will get you. It really will. Now, our last quick hit is kind of a duh moment, but I think it's kind of cool, so I included it anyway. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Alan Page. Not only for what he did in the football field, but his pursuit of education, his looks for equality and everything like that. And I thought it was really cool when Justice Page Middle School got named in his honor, and now they revealed a mural of him inside the school, which I thought was pretty cool. You can check that out on the Vikings website. Anytime, I think that Alan Page, someone who's done so much for the state of Minnesota, pushes kids to keep learning. What is an example on the football field? I just love talking about this man.
Man, Alan Page, legendary, man. There's really nothing more I can add to it, man. That's a beautiful thing, man.
And I do believe that I know that some of the times as players that like tooting their own horn. Page, you never see tooting his own horn. He always uses these opportunities to talk more about equality, talk more about social programs. He's visited schools and talked about how important it is for these kids to graduate, possibly pursue their education further. And I don't know about you, but I know that today going to school and just learning can be both so hard and scary.
You're right about that. I'll agree with that.
And to see these players, and I'm not saying that kids at Justice Page Middle School are going to know who Alan Page is, because I bet most of them got to pull up YouTube to watch a video to try to know who he is.
Right.
And that's okay, as long as they understand the message that he's trying to bring and what he's done for the state and why the school is named after him. I mean, it really is an honor, and it's a great way for him to keep pushing his message.
Right.
So I'm really glad to see all that happening.
Man, no doubt, man. It's just a testament to the individual that he is. He's never settled. He's just every time he's doing something, he's like you said, just projecting, of just everything positive in terms of helping the youth, and he's just from the next place to next place to next place, just consistent with that same message, man. And he's not looking for it, like we talked about it earlier with Chad Greenway. He's not looking for it, as far as like attention or anything.
No.
He's doing it because that's, that's his purpose,
It's who he is. It's what's important to him.
Right. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. It really and truly is, man. Very inspirational.
I mean, when we were doing our top 10 Vikings of all time, all three of us had, Alan Page on our top 10 players of all time. Some of us had him ranked a little higher than others, but, what can you do? Let's move on to the main topic for this week, because this was an interesting one to me for a couple reasons here alone. The top 100 players of 2018 has been on NFL Network for a while now, and we're down to the top 20 who are going to be revealed coming up. I'm not sure if there's a player on the Vikings that's going to be revealed in the top 20. I don't believe there is. I think Adam Thielen is going to end up being the top Viking represented at number 36, which is really interesting because if you would have told me that Harrison Smith was not going to be the top-ranked player on this list, I was going to be shocked. Now, to see Adam Thielen at 36 is still pretty amazing. Of course, we all know his story, rising up, undrafted free agent, $500 scholarship, all that kind of stuff. We all know the story by now. And yes, it is still absolutely a great story, and he's developed into a fantastic player. But now we kind of got to put that to the side because that was in the past, and now he's really become one of the most sure-handed and respected players in the NFL.
Yes. I mean, I can never get enough of his story. I remember that we all had like our little jokes about, Adam Thielen doing this and that and the third,
Oh, yeah.
He's the man is awesome, man. Like, just to see the progression, and we literally saw his progression, Adam, you know what I mean? When he first stepped foot on the field, and everybody just kind of knew that, okay, we might have something here. We didn't imagine him like far as like a superstar or, where he is now, but we knew there was something, and we rooted for him. And pretty much, just year in and year out, man, like he just, to where he is, man. Like, Adam Thielen is the man. Like, hands down, Adam Thielen's legit. And defenses now, from where he was in the beginning to now, they're scheming on him now. Like, pretty much it's like, okay, he's a threat. Somebody needs to cover 19. Make sure you got 19. You know what I mean? So just SKOL Adam Thielen, man. So he's earned everything that he's gotten.
What's cool is they brought him in for the tryout. They thought, we like him. We'll sign him. We'll bring him in, see what he can do. Now, and he comes into, the OTAs preseason. And like, you know what? He's doing all right here. Let's try him out on the practice squad. I think he'll be good here. Practice squad, he comes in, he impresses again. He's like, okay, let's bring him to the main roster. Let's try him on special teams, see what he does. And they're like, okay, he's doing good here. It's just every little step that they took, every challenge they put in front of him, he rose above it. And I think that the inspiration of all that, going through all those hurdles to get to where he is now, is just so amazing.
Yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. And a stand-up human being, too. Like, I know we say that a lot about our players, but it's just the truth, Off the field, he does his thing as well. Family man, beautiful wife and kid, it's just, man.
Yeah, I've gotten to meet him 3 times now. And every time, just so down to earth, smiling, shaking your hand. And I know that, a lot of players have to kind of go through the motions with that because they feel, okay, I'm here for an appearance. Hi, how you doing? But you get the sense for some players that it's absolutely genuine. Mm-hmm. And with him, you see the smile on his face. He loves meeting his fans. He loves hearing, hey, I love that catch you made, or, your story of rising up from the small school. So cool.
Right.
And yeah, by now he's probably heard that 100 times. But you know what? Every time you hear it, every time you hear that you are inspirational to someone or you've helped brighten someone's life, I don't know how that can't make you happy.
Exactly. And motivational just to, go out and just continue to do that work and to improve, to make himself even, better than before, man.
In the chat, we got Eric Grandall who says Thielen is a beast, and you are absolutely right. I mean, last season, 1,276 receiving yards. It only translated into 4 touchdowns, but 91 catches. That's a lot of catches for a player that is not actually. I don't know if you call him a number one, but you'd expect to see 91 catches next to Julio Jones, or a big-bodied wide receiver that quarterbacks just throw the ball up to. Thielen is doing this with these close quarters catches, making these routine catches out of things that a lot of other receivers wouldn't be able to reel in. And I know that we talk about the yellow gloves too, and I love watching them. I like to call them dishpan gloves because he's just a hardworking guy. He probably does his own dishes at home.
Man. Awesome. One of my favorite current Vikings.
Yeah, there isn't a lot you can't love about Adam Thielen. I still have not met that person that you say, oh, well, what do you think of Adam Thielen? They're like, no, man. I'm waiting to meet that guy.
No, he's no good. No.
Because I'm betting that there is one out there. So if you are that guy, if you're that guy that's sitting there and saying, nah, Adam Thielen's a bum, we need to get rid of him, please message me because I want to meet you. I want to get to know you a little bit. I want to get to know what's in your head. Because I would not understand you one bit. I think it'd be a fun social experiment.
Yeah.
Now, we did not have a social media question for this week, and we don't have a social media question ready for next week, but I'm going to hound Mr. Smith and Mr. Foley to see if we can't get some kind of question up for this week, because I love hearing you guys' responses to questions, whether it's you think that Kirk Cousins is going to throw a lot of touchdowns, or who's going to have more receiving yards, Thielen, Diggs. I think answers to those kind of questions are so much fun. So we're going to try to do something like that for you next week. We asked you guys too if about an Instagram page. I believe that's something Mr. Smith is going to get up and rolling here sometime soon. I don't want to put words in his mouth on it, but I'm hoping that's the case. Otherwise,
that's what he said. He said so.
But he's a big rock star now. Headlining shows. So
Disposable Ink, by the way. See, cheap plug. Yeah, Mr. Smith. He owes me like a quarter for that.
25 cents every time, man. Just keep it adding up. You had something you wanted to end the show with, right?
Oh yeah. So everybody knows about the Hall of Flame. Hall of Flame. Yeah, the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame.
Because everyone in there's fire, man.
Right. Well, Terrell Owens, who is going to be inducted, he's decided not to attend. And I have it right here. He put out a release, and I'm going to skim through it as quickly as possible, not take too long. So here's what Mr. Owens had to say. I am grateful for all the support my family, friends, and certainly my fans have shown me throughout my entire career in the National Football League. When it was announced that I was going to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the response received from my fans was overwhelming, and I am truly humbled. I am honored to be included among this group of fellow inducted individuals. While I am incredibly appreciative of this opportunity, I have made the decision to publicly decline my invitation to attend the induction ceremony in Canton. I have already shared this information with the Hall. After visiting Canton earlier this year, I came to the realization that I wish to celebrate what will be one of the most memorable days of my life elsewhere. At a later date, I will announce where and when I will celebrate my induction. I would also like to thank the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, the Buffalo Bills, and the Cincinnati Bengals for the time I was granted with each organization. I am thankful for the relationships forged and the lessons learned while part of each team. I wish to congratulate all past, current, and future inductees. It is quite an honor to be part of such elite company. This honor is something that I will cherish forever. Sincerely, number 81. Well put, letter. But Adam, who the fuck does that? Who the hell? Excuse my language, but who denies? That's part of your career. My uncle and I were talking about this earlier before we came on. Who does that? That's part of your that is part of your legacy. It does like complete your.
No, you saw what Randy Moss is doing, right?
What's Randy? Oh, Randy Moss isn't going to Canton either.
Randy Moss accepted his invite, and he's already said that his son is going to induct him in. Okay. So he's passing the spotlight on to his next generation, getting the family involved, and I think that's awesome.
That is awesome. I wouldn't disagree with that at all, but Randy's going to be there. That's the key thing, Adam. Randy's going to be in Canton. This man is saying...
What I'm saying is T.O. wants to have the opportunity to host his own event. And he's going to try to make some money off this event. He's going to promote the hell out of this event. And I get what he's doing. I mean, it is genius. But why can't you go accept your jacket and then have, a Hall of Fame party and do the same thing?
You could do both. Yeah, I can see that. You could do both. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, that's him. He's living his life. I'm not saying that, saying as far as like a personal attack on him or anything like that. It's just mind blowing. Like, it's crazy. Like,
and he's waited several years to get in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And I think part of it, with him doing this is because he felt slighted. He felt that he should have been first ballot. I have the numbers. I should,
I mean, I still don't like that he had to wait and Moss got in right away. I still don't like that. That doesn't sit right with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But, I do understand why he might feel a little slighted by the committee.
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, when the opportunity comes up to put yourself on a big stage and, accepting a massive honor from an organization that says that you are one of the best ever at what you did, it's amazing. Now, I'm going to toot my own horn for a second because I can.
Okay.
Recently, Fansided inducted me into their Hall of Fame class.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Now, to me, it was an absolute honor. Came out of nowhere. I still don't, I did not expect it. I'm humbled by it all. And I don't know, really how to handle that sort of thing. Now, I could not understand. I can understand what it's like to be considered one of the best at what you do. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't consider myself to be one of the best at what I do because I want to keep trying to get better at what I do. And I want to keep improving. And, I want to keep spreading the message, encouraging others. And I just don't understand why, when you have the opportunity to help other people or, encourage others, why don't you? I mean, Randy Moss is going to take the stage. And let's be honest, Randy Moss is going in the Hall of Fame based more on his freakish levels of talent and his size rather than a lot of the hard work that gets other people in. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. T.O., another freakishly talented guy that may not have had to work as hard as others, but hey, he's still working insanely hard. He's still in football shape.
Yes, he is. And he wants to come back. He's been actually putting out feelers. Like, if an opportunity comes up, like he's like serious. He wants to put the pads back on, man.
But what I'm trying to say is, when so many people are trying to accept great honors, for one person in the class to decline it casts this great cloud over it. And now you're sitting there saying, all these people are so honored to accept this just amazing honor upon themselves from people that they respect, and to see, peers and fans come together and celebrate all of that. And to see one player say, no, that ain't for me. It really kind of makes you sit there and say, is this really happening? What is this?
Right. It's just
hugely disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only that, because he was part of so many great franchises. He gave teams some amazing moments, great games,
mm-hmm.
Fantastic celebrations. And he's going to deprive fans, Canton itself, the NFL, the teams, all of that, the ability to appreciate all that, promote it. I don't know. I don't see the benefit in skipping this other than as a protest. But if you're going to protest it, why say it's not a protest? I don't understand any of this.
Wow, Adam. So you kind of went through the full spectrum. Like you pretty much you told his side, and then it's like, and then the other side as well. Like, the reasons why he's doing it and his choice. But then it's like at the same time, but dude, come on, be realistic, But I don't know. That's just with any athlete, man. I mean, like I said, I feel that's part of your career, even though you're retired. That, for you to get that honor, to be recognized, you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
That's still part of your athletic journey.
T.O. could make so much more money just touring and signing autographs. He could do fine.
Yeah.
Didn't he have a reality show for a while? Is that still going on?
Yes, he did. No, it's not. No, I watched it. It was a guilty pleasure of my mother and I. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I forgot the name of it, but yeah, it was about him and his two female managers. They were kind of cute too, by the way.
Eric Grindall says that Thaddeus Moss, the tight end from North Carolina State, is Randy's son that's going to be inducting him, which is that is right. That is right, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be fun. I know a lot of Vikings fans that are making the trip to Canton to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Sergio Moreno here says that Jim Marshall should have gone in before T.O. And now I'm disappointed because I think Jim Marshall has to go to the senior committee where he's just going to get buried amongst loads of talent. So I'm almost about to give up on the Jim Marshall train because I don't think it's a reality anymore.
Yeah, that pisses me off. Jim Marshall. Is it really like, I don't know, man, maybe you might disagree or disagree. Do you think the reason Jim Marshall isn't in the Hall of Fame is because of what he did in that one game on running to the other side? Do you
I think so.
That moment alone is just like, okay, well, just forget everything that you've done. We can't have you.
Yep. I think that one play is what's keeping him out.
That's horrible. If that's the case, that's horrible. Because that's the only thing I can just take because Jim Marshall, honestly.
Because they got a guy in the Hall of Fame that murdered somebody.
Oh, God.
But you're running football the wrong way. No way.
No, can't have you. You did what? Give me that. But here's a knife and a gun. Stab.
Right. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, that went off on a little bit of a tangent. That was a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Oh, my goodness. That was just, wow.
But that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Man, I have nothing. Purple People Podcast. For those wrestling fans that are out there, if you want to follow me, Dorian Foley on Facebook. Instagram is Gully Blanchard, like Tully Blanchard, but just replace the T with a G, and yeah.
So I was thinking about El Generic Skull, and I think I got to change it.
To what?
I don't know. I was thinking like a Pete Briscoe or something like that.
I like Vacho Libre, like Macho, but just with the V. I don't know. I like that one.
I don't want to get in there too much with the Bills, though. See, that's where the thing comes in. Because they already got a guy in a mask with a pretty good gimmick, so I don't know.
That's very true.
Now, I'm going to promote my stuff here. Mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead's coming up on Sunday. If you are a fan, check out Undead Walking, where we got a lot of cool analysis, reviews, and previews and everything coming up for the big episode on Sunday. Also, on Wednesday, issue 180 of The Walking Dead came out. I was kind of mixed on this one, but if you want to check out my review of that, as well as the full recap and maybe some other things from the issue, I also have that up on Undead Walking. We got some cool casting news going on for The Walking Dead Season 9. 2 comic characters that I really like are going to be appearing in Season 9, so if you want to see a little bit more about that too, you know where to go. Now, if you're here I know you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, which means that you probably already have the Viking Age app downloaded on your phone, and you probably go to the Viking Age all the time. And I highly recommend that you do both because me, Adam, and we actually have a couple more guys joining our team at the Viking Age, so we're really excited to get on board and start doing a lot more with the website. So I'm really excited about all of that. One guy that signed up is actually a listener here on the Purple People podcast. So that's really exciting, guys. I love it.
All right.
Take your passion for the team and turn it into something. I turned it into a job I got paid for, if you can believe that.
Man, that's awesome, man. And congratulations on that fan-sided thing once again, man. You've come a long way, my friend. You've come a long way.
I was just floored when I found out because I got an email that announced it, and they released it at the same time the email came out. And I got the email before I read the announcement, and I was like, what?
Wow. That's awesome, man. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations again, man.
It's always great to feel appreciated, and we appreciate all the people that join us here in the chat. Even if you show up late like Ying Yaj. You showed up late, buddy. You showed up late.
Yep, show's over.
And thank you very much. Eric Grandal, Sergio, Art Rocha, all the others that showed up in the chat. Thank you so much. Everybody that gives us a thumbs up, subscribes, shares, checks us out on iTunes, Stitcher, and all the other places. We do this because we love it, and we also do it for you because we love interacting with the other fans.
Most definitely. And also, if you get followers and stuff, I will send you an Oreo cookie.
I will send you a picture of me giving a thumbs up.
See? So the combination of a cookie and a picture of Adam Carlson's handsome mug giving you that thumbs up of approval.
Now, we did have a request that I will have to deny. We did have a request that the first picture posted on Instagram be of me and Daisy Dukes, and that's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
That should totally happen. That should totally happen, man. I mean, come on. Like,
first of all, I would have to own Daisy Dukes, and I don't own Daisy Dukes. No man should own Daisy Dukes unless you can pull off a Daisy Duke look. Adam, and I know I can't, man. I know I can't.
Adam, no Bruno.
I ain't got the booty for that.
You are an attractive man.
I need a couple years on the stair stepper to be ready.
You are a beautiful man with all your glory. You know, just do it. You know, like I've been saying this as of late. I don't know if you've ever seen Ready to Rumble.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, Jimmy King. I've been doing this lately, and people are just been dying. You know, remember the part where he went to the gym to see Goldberg, and they asked him for his help or whatever, and he trying to kiss his ass. Like, oh Goldberg, what's going on, baby? What's going on? You're looking jacked, man. You looking like pretty much that's you, man. You know, you are like Adam. You are good, man. You're looking jacked, man. You know that hair, that mane is beautiful, baby. All you need is just some wind going, just kind of like, oh,
that the hair's got to go though. It's getting way too hot for that stuff. I might go to your style here in a little bit.
Oh man, hey, well shoot, it's easy maintenance. All I gotta do is get and go, man.
There you go. Once again, check us out on our YouTube page. Comment on stuff. We're gonna try to get a question up this week. If you see pictures of some throwback players being thrown up or some cool posts, that's usually Dorian doing his thing over there. So give him a nice little comment on there. Thank him for helping out on Facebook because we appreciate all that. Twitter, I think Mr. Kyle West still handles a lot of that, and he might miss a lot of it too. So sorry. But I do appreciate everyone that checks us out on social media, checks out my work on the Viking Age, and just helps us bring this show to the next level because we love what it's become, and we want to keep doing this for a long, long time, and hopefully with 2 more Kyles next time. Because we are 0 Kyles right now.
Yeah. No, not at all.
So on behalf of Dorian and I do want to wish everyone a very happy day. I hope you're enjoying the NBA Finals.
I'm sorry.
My dad's loving it.
It's over. It's over. It's over. I don't know if you saw my post for, was it game 2? And I posted basically, I was like, LeBron James is playing like he's already made up his mind about his future endeavors.
Yeah.
That's how, yeah. Just
and let's be honest, Cleveland didn't really have the talent to compete in the first place.
They didn't, man. I mean, they do on paper, but no, but it's over. So, yeah. Spoiler alert: LeBron James is coming back to Cleveland.
Maybe he'll come to the Vikings. Who knows? I know our friend over at Purple for the Win wants to see LeBron in the NFL. So who knows?
Hey, LeBron has the size. LeBron could be maybe
he could be a pretty cool tight end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can catch a football, but we'll see.
he did play football in high school. I know he did that for sure. So I mean, but that was high school. That was like how many years ago? But he did play. He has
true. He can catch football better than I can. There's a reason I was on the offensive line and only took 5 snaps at tight end during my entire high school football career. So, and I was wide open too, and the guy didn't throw me the ball. So that told me everything I needed to know about my pass catching ability.
Well, at least you can pancake him, you know, saying a mofo, you know, just put him on their butt.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little off track here, so we better get going. Thanks again to Dorian for joining us. We hope to make that a regular thing. We gotta start adding you in the show's credits.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We got to start doing that. Although I shouldn't make that decision by myself. I think I'm going to.
Whatever. As long, man, whatever. I deserve my credit. So, yeah, let's get on that.
That's right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. And remember to stay classy, Minnesota.